I see her rolling up, Uber black Cadillac, high heel boots and a sexy body full of tats.
The results of the 2024 Austrian MotoGP sprint race are known. Ducati Lenovo rider Francesco Bagnaia successfully came out as the winner. The 2024 Austrian MotoGP sprint race took place at the Red Bull Ring Circuit, Austria, on Sunday. In the 14-lap race, a fierce duel was presented. However, Bagnaia finally won the victory. On the podium, Bagnaia was accompanied by Jorge Martin, Pramac Ducati, and Aleix Espargaro, Aprilia Racing. While Marquez, he who was almost on the podium, had to fall. Gresini Ducati's satellite team racer Marquez crashed in the sprint session of the 2024 Australian MotoGP race. Marquez crashed on lap 10 or 5 more laps before the race session ended. When crossing the corner, Marquez lost his balance and fell off his bike. Before the crash, Marquez was in 21st place during the sprint race session at the 2024 Australian MotoGP. Last year, while still at Repsol Honda, Marquez held the record for the most riders to fall. Now the Spanish racer continues to maintain his position, the difference is that now he is with Ducati. And here's the full news. The Marquez brothers ended up unlucky in the 2024 Austrian MotoGP sprint race session. The sprint race session started with an incident. When the riders were fighting for the best position, Marquez's younger brother, Alex Marquez, crashed. The Gresini Racing rider's bike rolled over on the side of the track. While his younger brother suffered the incident, Marquez was in third position behind Jorge Martin and Francesco Bagnaia, who were competing closely on the front row. On the second lap, Bagnaia secured pole position from Martin, who was behind him. When the competition was running tight, Jorge Martin got bad news. The Pramac rider was hit with a lap-long penalty for going wide at the second corner. The penalty saw Martin overtaken by Marquez on lap 6 and eventually dropped to third. However, Marquez's successful move up to second didn't last long. The Gresini Racing rider suffered a crash incident that made him slip on the track on lap 10. Marquez then lost his front row position. He tried to re-speed his bike but eventually ended up returning to the pits. Meanwhile, Martin regained his second position and tried to catch Bagnaia, who kept a considerable distance from him. Bagnaia has a gap of about 4 seconds more than Martin, who is behind him. Valentino Rossi's student also waltzed smoothly in the front row and ended up winning the sprint race session on Saturday. Meanwhile, Martin ended up finishing in second place, followed by his good friend who is an Aprilia racer, Aleix Espargaro. On the other hand, Ducati Lenovo rider Francesco Bagnaia was untouchable after coming out as the winner in the 2024 Austrian MotoGP sprint. Bagnaia successfully touched the first finish line after devouring 14 laps with a record time of 20 minutes 59.768 seconds held at the Red Bull Ring, Spielberg, Austria. Saturday, the second position was secured by Jorge Martin, Pramac, despite being hit by a long lap penalty for cutting corners. Martin also benefited from the bad luck received by Marquez, Gresini Racing, who fell when he was already comfortable in second position. The run of the sprint. The duel between Bagnaia and Martin was immediately fierce since entering the first corner. Bagnaia took over the first position before being taken back by the original owner, Martin, when the first lap was not finished. 3 Ducati riders led the sprint with Martin, Bagnaia and Marquez in close proximity. The overtaking action took place between Bagnaia and Martin. However, Martin made a mistake when he went wide at turn 2 until finally the first position was easily coupled by Bagnaia. 4 laps later, Bagnaia began to open a gap over Martin with a difference of 0.3 seconds. Meanwhile, Marquez, who was in third place, began to be left behind with a gap of 0.8 seconds. Martin, who cut the chicane lane at turns 2A and 2B, was finally penalized with a long lap penalty by the steward. Martin had actually tried to avoid punishment by making way for Bagnaia. However, the race steward felt that was not enough. This is certainly beneficial for Bagnaia to be more comfortable leading the sprint. Not only Bagnaia who benefited, Marquez also received a prize to move up to second position without having to struggle. Martin himself was still able to secure third position despite having to get a threat from Alex Espargaro, Aprilia Racing, who stuck tight behind him. Bagnaia is increasingly untouchable after leading with a gap of 1.4 seconds over Marquez. Meanwhile, Martin was 2.7 seconds behind Marquez, who was in second place. But when the sprint had 5 laps to go, Marquez, who was close to the second podium, crashed at turn 1. Marquez tried to get up to continue in the end, but his iron horse was no longer willing to run, so he had to end up in the pits and failed to finish. Second place eventually went back to Martin, while third place was held by Alex Espargaro until the end of the sprint.
I see her rolling up, Uber black Cadillac, high heel boots and a sexy body full of tats. Baby's bad, oh baby's hella bad. After her there ain't no coming back. Wanna take a run at that. I think she's feeling me, turn it up a few degrees. My imagination of her body gets the best of me. Oh gosh, she's such a tease, bitten lips, bruised knees. I'm addicted to her, need her touching me, cause she got a bad little waist. And we tearing down this place, off the liquor that we chase. Got some egos to the face, baby I don't need no space. Coming closer for a taste, and I'll show you how I make everything just fade away. Cause she's like sex, drugs, cocaine, body so insane. Jealous of the clothing that she wears up on a tight frame. All game, no shame, baby came here to play. I feel like an addict cause she's sex, drugs, cocaine. Got a fine little body and her mind's kinda naughty. They say that once you taste it, you cannot replace it. She could get you high, all the dopamine inside triggers fast once she's naked. Her body's a creation. They say the devil made her for his entertainment, but even he couldn't learn how to contain it. Her high heels make a damn good statement. There is no replacement, a body by Satan. Cause she got a bad little waist, and we tearing down this place. Off the liquor that we chase, got some egos to the face. Baby, I don't need no space. Coming closer for a taste, and I'll show you how I make everything just fade away. Cause she's like sex, drugs, cocaine, body so insane. Jealous of the clothing that she wears up on a tight frame. All game, no shame, baby came here to play. I feel like an addict cause she's sex, drugs, cocaine.